Hey friends, I've had a few people ask me about my hybrid composition process in recent months, and I thought I'd do a video doing a quick dive into one of the pieces I'm working on. This is going to be a very quick overview in the context of how big a project like this actually is, but I think it'll still be nice to see someone else's workflow if it's a type of music you're trying to get into making. Let's take a look. Okay, here we are in my project, and I'm just going to start playing it while I talk about it. This is big, but not absolutely massive. It's about 200 tracks, and some of those tracks are folders, buses, etc., but a great deal of them are instruments. You can see I have my string section open right now. So I've got my mellotrons, I've got a string ensemble track, I've got individual instruments, violins, violas, cello, basses, etc. And then I've got some other string family instruments and sampler instruments that I've made or put together for projects like this. So if I open up the MIDI on something like this, we can see that it's just MIDI like anything else. I generally am going to have quite a bit of information coming from the mod wheel as far as the expression goes on these samplers. Usually it's keyed to mod wheel. I actually don't use a mod wheel for this kind of thing, and a lot of composers don't. So you can see right here I've got faders on the computer, and these are actually going to control things like my mod wheel and the expression of the instruments, and I actually will key these to things as needed for synth patches and sampler instruments. And that's a very common thing to do. You get a lot more control with these long faders than you would on a standard mod wheel, and the mod wheel on my keyboard is a sad little thing. So I bought this because it didn't have a lot of stuff on it, so I could put my faders and controls on top of it. Anyway, what we got going on here is a bunch of strings and synthesizers mostly, and a drum battery that I made out of a combination of samplers that I purchased, samplers that I made, and live takes of drums. So I'll show you what's going on in there. My unpitched percussion has its own section. You can see on the microphones I've got what is this? 7 channels of drum mics, a few mics for cymbals and gongs and things of that sort, and a great deal of drum samplers in here. So to start out with, let's take a look at what is going on here. I'll solo the drum mics first. So this is just me playing drums that I have. This next one is drum samples, a great deal of which I put together from other sample libraries. I like to repurpose sample libraries that sound cool and put them into a sampler in a way that makes sense to me to play on my keyboard. So for example, on this one, I will show you how this one works, I guess. Let's see. So I basically layered a bunch of drum sounds and put them on different parts of the keyboard. To be layered together like that. That's combined with some libraries that are a little bit more standard. These are just orchestral libraries. This one is stuff that's resampled through my SK1. This is just a regular drum kit samples. Stuff like that. Basically a combination of a lot of things. If I go to a different part of the project, you can see that there are some places where I'm using pretty much all of this percussion. This is a bunch of hand percussion libraries, so I'll solo this as well. And let's listen to another section here. I'll show you what's going on. This part looks like I'm using pretty much all of the unpitched percussion. So all the drum mics, all the cymbal mics, all of the samples. I've got some cymbal samples and some special effects down here as well. Let's let the computer finish loading the samples and keep up with us. I always love anvil sounds in tracks like this. So you can see it's really just a great deal of layers. And if we listen to that in context, it's just a really huge sound. Basically, the thing that I think sort of scared me away from doing this type of stuff initially was thinking, oh man, I'm probably doing too much. But I've seen sessions with like 5 times as many tracks as this. This is really like one of the ways to get that like big sound is to have just a lot of different instruments turned down, and you create this combined timbre that's just made out of layers and layers of similar instrument families, the same way an orchestra works. So you just treat your digital session the same way you would treat an orchestra, where if each violin in the orchestra is playing something totally different, it's going to sound like a wash of sound. And if they're all playing the same thing, they're not going to sound like a violin anymore. They're going to sound like that combined instrument that you get in an orchestra that sounds, you know, sort of like this, but better. Let's see if this works. Oh, nope. Why isn't violins one working? And I'll show you from a different angle what's going on there. So that's not actually the volume fader. This is my mod wheel on this fader. This is my volume fader here. So if I wanted to, I could bring the instrument really quietly with both faders at once. And running all the video software and stuff seems to be making it skip quite a bit right now. So just pretend like it sounds great. Again, I've got that for pretty much every single instrument. And then, like I said, I've got a bunch of other custom stuff. A lot of the custom stuff lives in synths. So for example, this is like a sort of CS80 inspired sound I made. And this is in Pigments. Again, just very similar sounds. Combinations of all of them can sound great. If I record arm a few at the same time, you can hear what that could sound like if I combine all these timbres. And again, I can control these. With faders if I want to. A lot of these sounds have extra features paired with the third and fourth fader on this bank. These faders over here are mixing faders, so I'll use those to just set levels. Let's find some other sounds. Some of these are going to be sort of weird sound designy violins. This one is a chord sound that I really like. made out of samples of cellos playing open fifths. We've got our staccato strings on a different track. You can do that in a lot of different ways. You could put MIDI signals to change the sample library that's being played from a sound that has like a staccato or a pizzicato patch on it. I actually found from doing that a lot that I like having a different track. So when I say like this is a 200 track project, there are some redundant tracks that have the same virtual instrument on them. And some of those tracks are going to have essentially like this one probably has a contact 7 instance with the same string patches as this one here, which is just like a string ensemble for big string chords, and basically take the same patch, set it to pizzicato, copy it to another track, and then you don't have to worry about it when you're mixing it. You have one track that's your pizzicato strings, and one track that is your staccato strings, and one track that is your legato strings, and then you can put your processing on them however you want. I actually have a lot of my plucked strings separate. I sometimes will put my my pizzicato, like violins and stuff, in the same folder as this, but I haven't really mixed this project yet. This is kind of my pre-mixed template, so it still sounds good even though it's not mixed, but it's not a lot of detail work done with it. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I want to find some other parts to hear. This section here has some interesting things that happen, I think. So a romantic string section, paired with, that's a live accordion in the back. Sometimes I like adding those. For whatever reason, Reaper doesn't like showing the MIDI editor while it's playing back these files with lots of tracks on them. I just need a better computer, I think. And again, you solo any track and you've got, very little going on. A mellotron. I actually really like recording mellotron over the big string sections when I don't have live violins. It gives it this extra like otherworldly character that I think sounds really nice. And you notice I don't have a lot of my more sound designy patches going during this section, but they come in right here, so it's gonna get creepy or scary again probably. So that right there, that's what I use those types of samplers for. I've got this instrument in here is just a patch I made in the synth Massive, which you might not even hear without a subwoofer. That's basically the movie theater sub kind of patch. Down here, a lot of those transitions are going to be built out of individual samples, which I'll chop up, and in this case, I've adjusted the panning on them. So that looks like it's made out of things like cymbals and orchestra swells and things that I've just taken from libraries and recordings that I've made. This has, I think I made this on another stream a long time ago. I think this might be made from my voice. Just pitched down really heavily. I can't remember what I did. I named it Whale Grown, and I loaded them into Pigments and did some sound design with it. So that's what's going on there. brass library, which is why brass isn't sort of favored in this piece of music. It's one of those things where like really great sample libraries get pricey very fast, and hiring live performers obviously gets pricey even faster. So you just play to your strengths, I guess, is the piece of advice I would give. Like, I've got a lot of places where I'm favoring synthesizers because that's what I've got around here. I'm also favoring electric guitar as an effect because I'm good at electric guitar. It's an instrument I can play. So like this section here has a lot of electric guitar tracks. So I've got bass guitar, two melody electric guitars, and then I've got the sort of sound effect ones that are playing along with some pretty weird stuff in here. Got some overtone blowing on a recorder. I actually like these kinds of sound effects. If I take the guitars out, you can get some pretty nice creepy sounds. Without being a good woodwind player. You don't really need to be good at an instrument to make cool sound effects with it. Trumpets are a really great instrument to make some cool sound effects with, even if you can't play. But again, if you want to have like a real melody, don't even try unless you practice a lot. Let's hear this section over here. Climax. I like having these wind down parts after a big climax in a piece of music like this. And I've got that wheel groan sound going down here below everything. Texture blends. Like if I wanted to add, for example, the oboe here, I could just figure out what key am I in. Those two notes. So hit record. Oh, I guess I wanted to record earlier. And usually I put a click track on with that. But now you've got this instrument that's been recorded, and you can go in and edit the MIDI if you want to. Sometimes people will just quantize it. Sometimes they will be a little bit more particular with it. And maybe this one you want it to come in a little early. Maybe this one you want exactly in time, and you can just lock that to your grid. These two you can kind of keep locked in as well, and play that back and listen to it again by itself. So you hear that's actually kind of annoying that comes in early. Let's move it over a little bit. A lot of times with woodwind tracks, you maybe want to have a breath built into it to make it sound a little bit more like a person. Even if they wouldn't need a breath, it kind of helps the general aesthetic of using samplers. And that's the case even with other types of melodies. A lot of times if you hear a violin part, it gets really kind of boring and fades into the background if it has no breaks in it. That sounds terrible right there, right? I don't think I would actually keep this in the song. I'm doing this more as a demonstration. Let's fix it up for the sake of the demonstration, though. Take the solo off. I don't like that breath there. and then say maybe that's too loud. Grab all of it, and you can go into your mod wheel here, highlight all these instruments, and just pull them all down together. In this case, I don't really need any of this. It always is going to track your input before the first note, so. Take the click out. Now it sort of sounds like it's fading into the ensemble. It's not the primary instrument anymore. And, you know, it sounds nice, but again, I don't think I really want that in the piece. I'll just delete it. I like those sorts of texture blends. Very like trailer house kind of sound. And that high pitched stuff is just a synth. What I'll do is I'll just figure out what key I'm in, and I'll do some stuff with this is just sine waves. And it's just supporting instruments. Pretty much any instrument that sounds good is going to have a lot of really fascinating natural harmonics that it's going to create as you play notes. And sometimes I like to highlight those with just a sine wave from a synthesizer, and it's just a nice touch you can add. And with these things, you can put in as much detail as you want, really. I feel like they never sound done unless they're recorded by a real orchestra and you just add the synths back in, and I don't have the budget for that. So I end up toiling over these projects and trying to find a happy medium. I find that adding instruments that I play myself really brings them to life, especially the percussion and the cymbals and stuff like that feels better than using the same samples every time. I'll use my own synthesizers and I'll do my own sound design. I don't have any presets on any of the synths. There's nothing wrong with those. I just don't like the idea of having a piece of music where there's a big chord that comes in and someone instantly recognizes, oh, that's that one sound from that one place. So I like to do my own sound design. You don't really have to do that. It's just kind of like a thing that I'm into. It's a thing that's fun for me. And honestly, like, if you're not having fun doing this, like, there's other things to do. you can do something else that is fun for you, and that's a better use of your time. Let's see. I had something else I wanted to show in here. Oh yeah, I've got a lot of hardware synths that I'm using, and for that I've got these MIDI out folders, and I'm basically going to send MIDI out from Reaper, and I use Reaper as the sequencer, so I can write the parts in here in MIDI, and then I can send them to the synthesizer. So in this case, it looks like this bass part is my mini Moog. And that looks like it's probably being supported by this thing. And without the mini Moog, it just doesn't have that same low end push. This instrument that I made on Pigments is really cool, but it doesn't have that snap. The mini Moog is almost like a drum here. I think I've got some other stuff going on. Well, really a lot of the percussion is what's going on here. Some of these things are really funny by themselves. Got kind of a lead on my Matrix group back there. bass sounds in this part. Let's let my computer take a break here, I guess. I recorded a bunch of shouts and combined them all, and I've got this this sound in Pigments, which I really like, and unfortunately some of the shouts that I have in this are from other sample libraries that I don't have a reselling license for, so I can't actually put this one up to distribute, otherwise I'd give these away. But oh, it's not recorder. I'm just like super aggressive sounds. And that's probably like 16 takes of me shouting and a bunch of other choirs shouting that I found, that I just layered all of it together and made something that sounded cool. Thought it was cool enough to use, and now I just have this in my template. And it feels pretty good in some situations like this, in context. Right there. And again, live instruments, just, I feel like no matter how bad you are at them, brings it to life. I've got an accordion lying around. Just extra stuff, extra noise for these big sounding parts feels great to me. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do in today's video, and I hope that helps some of you, and I hope that it sort of invokes your curiosity and gives you some questions you can ask me in the comment section, because I'd love to make some more videos on this, but a project like this is such a big thing that a video covering every piece of it and how all of it's made would probably be 20-30 hours long, and I'm not going to do that. So I'd rather focus on things that people who are watching my channel would like to know about. So I would love to make more of these, and let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'm glad to be back here on YouTube.